Now, former U.S. President Donald Trump surrendered to authorities in Georgia. He was formally arrested on charges that he conspired to overturn the 2020 election in the state.
Absolutely, him. And looks like that the booking process was yielded a historic first, a mugshot of a former American president.
Right. And the Fulton County jail, it has now released the mugshot of Trump, and his jail records have been posted online as well. Trump has now departed the jail. The entire process, it lasted about 20 minutes.
And Trump has fulfilled the $200,000 bail bond and other release conditions as well. He has denied any wrongdoing and called his criminal prosecutions a travesty of justice.
What has taken place here is a travesty of justice. We did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. And everybody knows it. I've never had such support. And that goes with the other ones, too. What they're doing is election interference. They're trying to interfere with an election. There's never been anything like it in our country before. This is their way of campaigning. And this is one instance, but you have 3 other instances.
Now, the 77-year-old former president is accused of conspiring with 18 co-defendants in trying to overturn the 2020 presidential election result in the key southern state. Dozens of his supporters were gathered outside the jail, guarded under tight security ahead of his arrest.
Now, Trump did not have to undergo the indignity of having a mugshot taken, and this is the first of any American president. Now, during his 3 previous arrests this year.
The first in New York on charges of paying hush money to porn star Stormy Daniels. Next in Washington on charges of conspiring to upend his 2020 election loss to Democrat Joe Biden. And third one in Florida for mishandling top secret government documents.
Others facing racketeering charges in the alleged Georgia conspiracy include Trump's former personal lawyer Rudy Giuliani and his White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows.
Now, the booking of the billionaire real estate tycoon comes just hours after he skipped the primary debate, featuring 8 of his rivals for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination, a contest in which he remains the leading candidate despite his legal troubles, Raisha.
Absolutely, and his presence in Georgia, though very brief, is expected to swipe the spotlight, at least temporarily, from his opponents in the aftermath of a debate in which other candidates sought to seize on Trump's absence to elevate their own presidential prospects.
For more on this now, we have with us our correspondent Susan Tehrani. Susan, thank you so much for joining us. Now, Trump has been released on bond from Fulton County as per reports. What's next for Donald Trump and how will this affect his presidential bid?
Yeah, the former president is going to head back to his home in New Jersey after this processing from Georgia. And then, tomorrow, a set of other co-defendants have to ultimately turn themselves in as well, because tomorrow will be the final deadline for all of these co-defendants in this Georgia case. And then, when you look at the timeline of what Fani Willis, the lead prosecutor, wants in terms of having a trial, it really falls in line with the time that the former president, if he becomes the nominee, would have to campaign and would have to be on different stages and travel to gain votes and garner votes. They want to start as early as October, meaning Georgia. It's expected that the Trump team will basically try to negotiate for a later date because October is just too early. They also want to try to try all of the individuals, the 19, at the same time, which, that's virtually impossible if you just remember what happened, for example, last night at the primary Republican debate, 8 people together, having very different perspectives and opinions, even from the same party. It was hard to really control them by the moderators. Can you imagine if 18, 19 people are in the courtroom at once? So that's what we're expecting to hear in terms of news. But how it's going to affect his campaign, this is an extremely sad day for the United States, considering the fact that a mugshot is usually used when someone is a flight risk, when people don't know what that person looks like. Donald Trump is really one of the most well-known people in the world. To have a mugshot really, I think a lot of people would agree, was politically motivated. And that's something that the Justice Department and the justice system here in the United States had tried to shy away from until now. On the one hand, you had Joe Biden just hours before Donald Trump turned himself in, send an email out to his donors saying that this is the perfect time to donate to my campaign, as Donald Trump is going to go to that Georgia jail. On the other hand, with this mugshot, although we'll probably see it on T-shirts and mugs and everywhere until Election Day, around the world, TV networks will air it on and on again. But the Trump campaign, I wouldn't be surprised if they use it to their advantage as well.
Right, Susan, we were just talking regarding how the mugshot itself, in which Trump looks angry even, and he claims innocence. And just before arriving in Atlanta, Trump sent out an email to his supporters that says that this will be my last email to you before I enter the Fulton County jail to be arrested as an innocent man. My question to you is that how is the public opinion shaping up in this regard, and what is the wider consensus among his supporters?
Yeah, well, supporters of Donald Trump back him. They're diehard supporters. They're never going to leave him. We have those individuals. But then we have a recent poll that came out even after the debates that Donald Trump's popularity surged from about 50%. CBS has his popularity now at 60%. So he's very much the Republican frontrunner regarding the Republican base. But it's such a polarized environment. I know we talked about this before. This obsession with the mugshot has been ongoing for the past year and a half. And first, the Democrats promised it in New York with Alvin Bragg, and then finally you had Georgia, get this mugshot. So on the one hand, you have the left ecstatic that they finally got their mugshot. On the other hand, you have those on the right that just see this as clear election interference, considering the fact that Donald Trump will likely be President Joe Biden's main rival going into the election. It's no secret we're living in such a polarized environment. There's no middle ground. There may be those on the sidelines that will be watching, the undecided voters, and they will probably either say that even if Donald Trump is not convicted, this is just too far. It's too much baggage for us to vote for him. Or you may have others that say, it's bizarre how they're going after a former president the way that they are. What if I'm next? What if, this is going to become the norm? So, this is where we are. We'll have to wait and see.
Absolutely, Susan. Thank you so much for bringing us the latest on this.